This lecture is on types of hormones. So most hormones fall into two classes. And those are protein type hormones and steroid hormones. So I'm going to tell you about each of these separately. So first of all, then, protein type hormones. These consist of chains of, now think about it for a moment, what are proteins made out of? You should have learned this already. So protein type hormones then consist of chains of amino acids. Remember, amino acids are your building blocks of proteins. Here we find amino acids again, all chained up. Though I am going to say or related compounds as well. So that's why these are called protein type hormones. Now, these hormones cannot pass through the cell membrane. Remember, every hormone has target tissue cells, and here what this is telling you is that they cannot pass through the cell membrane of their target tissues. So they can't pass through the cell membrane because they can't, let me rewrite that, because they can't dissolve in the lipids that are present in the cell membrane. So, quick review. Remember that there are lipids in the cell membrane. In fact, the cell membrane is made up of phospholipids. I hope that is sounding familiar now. So you have the cell membrane. The basis of the cell membrane then is your phospholipids. So things that can dissolve in lipids can more or less just dissolve right through a cell membrane. On the other hand, these amino acid chains cannot pass through the cell membrane. And this will come up later as something that's important in how these hormones operate. So, an example then of a protein type hormone is the hormone insulin. You have probably heard of insulin. So now let's talk about steroid hormones. So, steroid hormones, then these are lipid-like carbon ring compounds that are able to pass through the cell membrane. So steroids are a whole class of substances that are sort of a subcategory of the larger class known as lipids. Lipids are biological molecules. There are a bunch of them. There are the fats and oils that we normally think of. There are also the phospholipids that make up the cell membrane. And there are also then steroids. Steroids are considered a type of lipid. They are lipid soluble. Like dissolves like, I hope you remember that. So lipids can dissolve other lipids, and then polar solvents like water cannot usually dissolve lipids because lipids are nonpolar. Anyway, so we have these lipid-like compounds, these steroids then, and because like dissolves like, these lipid-like substances can then pass through the bilipid membrane of the cell. And they basically dissolve right through it. It would be as though you could walk through the wall of your house. It's like it isn't even there. If you could just dissolve through the wall rather than needing to find a door, then that's basically the way that steroid hormones get into your target cells. So steroids are produced in a few places. First, then, is the outer layer of the adrenal gland. Parenthetically, this layer is called the adrenal cortex. Cortexes are frequently outer layers. So the cortex then is the outer layer of the adrenal gland. Just like the cerebral cortex is the outer layer of the cerebrum. I hope this sounds familiar. So that then is one place where you will find steroids being produced. The other place where steroids are produced then are the gonads, that is to say, your reproductive organs. So an example of a steroid hormone from the reproductive systems then is the hormone estrogen. And that is the end of this lecture.